What happens when one impulsive request to a dangerous stranger completely derails your life? Kira thought she was just making her ex jealous. Instead, she kissed Seoul's most feared crime boss and ignited a love story that would either save her or destroy her. If you're ready for a romance that'll have your heart racing, smash that subscribe button because this one's about to get intense. Let's go. Please, I need you to kiss me. I need him to see what he lost, she said to the man everyone feared. And just like that, her world exploded. The bass rattled through Crystal Lounge like thunder, but Kira couldn't hear anything except the blood rushing in her ears. There he was. Marcus. Her Marcus. Draped across some woman in the VIP section, his hand trailing down her back the same way it used to trace patterns on Kira's skin. For months since he'd touched her like that, since he'd looked at her with anything other than irritation. Kira's nails dug into her palms. She'd left everything for him, Lagos, her sister's boutique where she'd been head designer, her entire life. She'd followed him to Seoul with stars in her eyes and promises in her heart. You're different, Kira. You're magic. All lies. Now she was just another discarded dream in a city that spoke a language she was still learning. The champagne in her glass had gone warm. She downed it anyway, the bitter taste matching the ache spreading through her chest. Enough. If Marcus wanted to parade his replacement, fine. She'd show him what he'd thrown away. Her eyes swept the room, searching for what exactly? Revenge? Validation? Something sharp enough to cut through this humiliation choking her? Then she saw him. Jae-hyun hadn't wanted to come tonight. Crystal Lounge was too exposed, too crowded with pretenders wearing expensive watches and fake smiles. But Do-hyun insisted on meeting here, claimed it was safer in plain sight. Jae moved through the sea of bodies like smoke, sleek black suit, black expression, black soul according to most of Seoul. People shifted without knowing why, some animal instinct recognizing a predator in their midst. Do-hyun was late, always testing boundaries. Jae claimed a corner booth, back to the wall, scanning exits and faces with practiced efficiency. The scar bisecting his left eyebrow pulsed, a phantom pain reminding him that softness was weakness in his world. Then she appeared. Not appeared, charged. A woman, this woman, standing 3 feet away, staring at him like he held the answer to every question burning inside her. Her dress was deep burgundy, hugging curves that could stop traffic, and her eyes, brown and blazing and desperate, locked onto his with unsettling intensity. She was beautiful, and she was walking straight toward him. Jae's hand drifted toward the blade hidden in his jacket. But she wasn't a threat. She was something far more dangerous. Kira didn't overthink it. Overthinking had gotten her here, abandoned in a foreign country by a man who'd promised her the world. She stopped in front of him, pulse hammering so violently she thought it might break through her skin. I need something from you, she said, steadier than she felt. The man tilted his head, expression unreadable. Up close, he was devastating, sharp jaw, full lips pressed into a hard line, eyes so dark they seemed bottomless. Everything about him screamed danger. But Kira was past caring about danger. Something, he repeated slowly, his accent wrapping around the English word like silk over a blade. From someone you don't know? Yes. She swallowed hard. Will you kiss me? Just once. I need someone to see. Silence. He studied her face like he was reading a map to somewhere he'd never been. Looking for weakness, maybe. Lies, probably. Kira held his gaze, refusing to blink. Then he stood, taller than she'd expected, broad-shouldered and imposing. He stepped into her space, close enough that his cologne, something dark and cedar-rich, made her dizzy. You're serious, he murmured, almost curious. Completely. His hand rose slowly, fingers grazing her jaw with a gentleness that contradicted everything else about him. Kira's breath stuttered. Across the room, she felt Marcus watching. Good. Let him choke on it. Jae leaned down, his mouth hovering over hers. Then let's make it count, he whispered. And he kissed her. Kira had expected performance, something quick and forgettable. But the moment his lips touched hers, the ground shifted beneath her feet. His mouth was soft but commanding, taking hers with a certainty that made her knees buckle. His hand slid into her hair, cradling her head, not roughly but possessively, like she was something valuable he refused to drop. Kira's fingers found his chest, curling into expensive fabric. The kiss deepened, and suddenly Marcus didn't matter. The club didn't matter. Nothing mattered except this, him. The way he kissed her like she was water and he'd been dying of thirst. When they finally broke apart, Kira was shaking. Jay's thumb brushed her lower lip, his eyes darker now, something dangerous flickering behind them. Enough? He asked quietly. She couldn't speak, couldn't breathe past the fire burning through her veins. Behind her, glass shattered. Marcus. Kira stumbled back, reality crashing down. Oh God. What did I thank you? I should go. She turned, but Jay's hand caught her wrist. Gentle, but firm enough to stop her. Wait, I can't. Her voice cracked. I shouldn't have. Kira. She froze. How do you know my name? He nodded toward her purse, where her hotel employee badge dangled from a keychain. Right. Of course. You asked for a favor, Jay said, maddeningly calm. Now you owe me one. I don't owe you anything, she shot back, yanking free. It was just a kiss. Was it? The question hung heavy between them. Kira's pulse thundered in her throat. No. It wasn't just a kiss. They both knew it, but admitting that meant admitting she'd felt something real with a complete stranger, something she'd never felt with Marcus even after a year of trying. I need to go, she repeated softer. Jay studied her for a long moment, then released her. If that's what you want. It wasn't. But Kira didn't trust herself to stay, so she turned and walked away on shaking legs. Behind her, Marcus's voice cut through the noise. Kira, what the hell was that? She didn't stop, didn't look back. For the first time in months, she didn't care what Marcus thought. But she couldn't stop thinking about the stranger's lips on hers, or the way his hand had held her like she was something worth keeping. Jay watched her disappear into the crowd, jaw tight. He'd been kissed before, countless times, but never like that. Never with such raw, unguarded desperation. She'd kissed him like she was drowning and he was air, and God help him, he'd wanted to drown with her. Boss. Jay turned to find Dohyun beside the table, expression carefully neutral. Was that necessary? Dohyun asked. No. Then why? She asked, Jay said simply, sitting back down. But his hands were trembling beneath the table where no one could see. He didn't do this. Didn't get involved. Didn't let strangers burrow under his skin. But Kira, whoever she was, had just demolished every rule he'd spent 15 years building. And he had a feeling she had no idea what she'd unleashed. Kira made it halfway to the exit when the lights died. Screams erupted, glass exploded, then gunshots. Her body moved on instinct, dropping low as chaos detonated around her. People stampeded toward the doors, trampling over each other. Kira's heels snagged on something, and she went down hard, palms scraping concrete. Then a hand grabbed her arm, hauling her upright. Come with me. Now. Jay. What's happening? She gasped. No time to explain. We need to go now. He pulled her through a side door she hadn't noticed, down a narrow hallway reeking of cigarettes and spilled beer. Behind them, more gunfire, shouting in Korean. Jay's grip on her wrist was iron. Wait, my bag. Forget it. They burst through an emergency exit into an alley. A black car idled there, engine purring. Jay shoved her into the back seat and climbed in after her, slamming the door. Drive, he barked in Korean. The car lurched forward. Kira's chest heaved, adrenaline spiking through her system. What the hell just happened? Wrong place, wrong time. That's not an answer. Jay finally looked at her, and for the first time, she saw something other than calm in his eyes. Worry, maybe. Or anger. There are people who want me dead, he said bluntly. And now they've seen you with me, which means you're in danger. Kira's blood turned to ice. What? I'm taking you somewhere safe. Safe? I don't even know you. Then let me introduce myself properly. His voice went cold, detached. My name is Jae Hyun. I run one of the largest organizations in Seoul. And that kiss you asked for just made you a target. Kira stared at him, her mind refusing to process the words. Organization. Target. Mafia. No, she whispered. No, this can't be. I'm sorry, Jay said quietly. And for a moment, he almost looked like he meant it. But until I know you're safe, you're staying with me. The car sped through Seoul's neon-lit streets, and Kira realized with dawning horror that she'd just traded one nightmare for another. Jay's penthouse was cold, sterile, all glass and steel and sharp angles like the man himself. Kira stood in the center of the living room, arms wrapped around herself, still wearing that stupid burgundy dress that now felt like a costume from someone else's life. Sit, Jay said, gesturing to the couch. I'd rather stand. Kira, don't. Her voice cracked. Don't say my name like we're friends. Like you didn't just blow up my life. Jay's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Instead, he poured 2 glasses of whiskey and set one on the coffee table.
Drink.
It'll help. I don't want your help. I want to go home. You can't. Not yet. Kira laughed, bitter and broken.
Why?
Because some gangster might come after me? This is insane. I just wanted to make my ex jealous. That's all it was supposed to be. And instead you kissed me. The words landed like a slap. Kira's eyes burned, but she refused to cry. Not here. Not in front of him. I didn't know, she whispered. I know. Silence stretched between them, thick and suffocating. Finally, Kira sank onto the couch, her legs giving out. She picked up the whiskey and downed it in one burning gulp. Tell me about him, Jay said quietly, sitting across from her. Why do you care? Because you asked a stranger to kiss you just to hurt him. That means something. Kira's hands trembled around the empty glass. His name is Marcus. We met in Lagos. He was there for work, said he'd never met anyone like me. Said he wanted to build a future together. So I left everything, my family, my career, my home. I moved here for him. Her voice broke. 3 months later, he told me I was too intense, too loud, too African. Like that was something to be ashamed of. Jay's expression darkened, but he said nothing. I rebuilt myself once, Kira continued, tears finally spilling over. After my father died, I had to be strong for my family. I learned to swallow the pain, to smile through it. I thought I could do it again. But tonight, seeing him with her, I just wanted to feel powerful. Just once. She looked up at Jay, vision blurred. Instead, I feel like I'm drowning. Jay stood and crossed to her. He knelt in front of her, his hands resting gently on her knees. You're not drowning, he said softly. You're surviving. There's a difference. Kira met his gaze, and for the first time since the kiss, she saw past the coldness. Saw the scars, not just the one bisecting his eyebrow, but the invisible ones living in his eyes. What happened to you? She whispered. Jay's hands tightened slightly. I lost someone once. Someone I couldn't save. And I swore I'd never let anyone get close enough to hurt me again. Then why are you helping me? He didn't answer, but his thumb brushed her knee, a touch so gentle it shattered something inside her. Stay tonight, he said finally. Tomorrow we'll figure out the rest. Kira nodded, too exhausted to fight. And when Jay stood to leave, she caught his hand. Thank you, she whispered. He looked down at their joined hands, something vulnerable flickering across his face. Don't thank me yet, he murmured. I'm not a good man, Kira. Maybe not, she said softly, but you're being good to me. Jay's breath hitched, and for the first time in years, he didn't pull away. Have you ever found safety in the most unexpected person? When the walls came down, and someone you barely knew became exactly who you needed. Drop your story below. Morning light filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting the penthouse gold. Kira woke to the smell of coffee. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, still in her dress, and someone, Jay, had draped a blanket over her. The kindness of it made her chest ache. She found him in the kitchen, dressed in a simple black t-shirt and jeans, hair slightly mussed. He looked human, less like a crime lord and more like a man who hadn't slept. Morning, he said without turning around. Morning. He slid a mug of coffee across the counter toward her. Milk, no sugar. I guessed. Kira blinked. How did you? You ordered it that way at the lounge. Before everything. He'd been watching her. The thought should have been unsettling. Instead, it felt. She took the mug, letting the warmth seep into her hands. Thank you. They stood in silence for a moment, the air between them charged but not uncomfortable. I meant what I said last night, Jay said finally, about not being a good man. And I meant what I said too. He turned to face her, expression unreadable. You don't know me, Kira. Then tell me. Why? Because last night, you kissed me like I mattered. And then you saved my life. So yes, Jay, I want to know you. Something shifted in his eyes, a crack in the armor he wore so carefully. I was 8 when my father was killed, he said quietly. Shot in front of me by a rival gang. My mother, she didn't survive the grief. I grew up in this world because I had no choice. And I learned early that caring about people gets them killed. Kira set down her mug and moved closer. You cared about someone. The person you lost. Jay's jaw tightened. Her name was Minji. My younger sister. She was 16. Got caught in crossfire meant for me. Jay, I held her while she died. He continued, voice flat, emotionless. And I swore I'd never let anyone close enough to become collateral again. I built walls. I became what everyone expected. Cold, ruthless, untouchable. But you're not, Kira whispered. You're not untouchable.
No.
He looked at her, eyes raw. Apparently, I'm not. Kira reached up and touched the scar bisecting his eyebrow, her fingers tracing the raised line gently. Where did this come from? A knife fight. 4 years ago. Does it hurt? Not anymore. She let her hand fall to his chest, feeling his heartbeat beneath her palm.
Steady. Strong.
Alive. You're allowed to feel things, you know. Being strong doesn't mean being empty. Jay caught her hand, his thumb brushing her knuckles. You say that like it's simple. It's not, but maybe it's worth trying. He stared at her for a long moment, then slowly, carefully, leaned down and kissed her forehead. It was chaste, tender, nothing like the fire of last night, but it meant everything. Stay with me today, he murmured against her skin. Just today. Let me pretend I'm someone who deserves this. Kira's eyes stung. You don't have to pretend. When he pulled back, there was a small, almost shy smile on his lips. Has anyone ever told you you're stubborn? Constantly, she said, smiling back. It's one of my best qualities. Jay laughed. A real, genuine laugh. And Kira felt something click into place inside her chest. This was what she'd been searching for. Not grand gestures or empty promises. Just someone who saw her, truly saw her, and chose to stay anyway. Teach me something, she said suddenly. What? Something about you. Your world. I want to understand. Jay considered, then gestured toward the living room. Come. He showed her his collection of old books, Korean poetry, philosophy, history. Things that contradicted everything she thought she knew about him. My mother used to read to me, he explained softly. Before everything fell apart. These remind me that I'm more than what I became. Kira picked up a worn volume, her fingers tracing the embossed cover. Read me something. And he did. His voice, deep and soothing, filled the space between them with words about longing and loss and the quiet strength of enduring. When he finished, Kira was crying. Why are you crying? Jay asked, alarmed. Because it's beautiful, she whispered. And so are you. Jay set the book aside and pulled her into his arms. She went willingly, burying her face in his chest as he held her close. I don't know what this is, he murmured into her hair. But I don't want it to end. Then don't let it, Kira said. And for one perfect moment, they both believed it could be that simple. The doorbell shattered the peace. Jay stiffened immediately, his entire demeanor shifting. The softness vanished, replaced by cold calculation. Stay here, he ordered, voice sharp. Jay, stay. He moved toward the door, and Kira watched as he checked a hidden panel in the wall. Guns.
Knives.
Things she didn't want to think about. He grabbed a handgun and tucked it into the back of his jeans before opening the door. Do Hyun stood in the hallway, expression grim. We have a problem, he said in Korean. Jay stepped outside, closing the door behind him, but Kira could still hear their voices, low and urgent. She crept closer, heart pounding. Sangwoo knows about the girl, Do Hyun was saying. He's already asking questions. If he finds her, he won't. Jay, you need to let her go. Send her back, wherever she came from. This is too dangerous.
No.
You're compromised. For the first time in 15 years, you're compromised, and it's going to get her killed. Silence. Then Jay's voice, colder than Kira had ever heard it. I'll handle it. Will you? Or will you get her killed like you got Minji killed? The sound of flesh hitting flesh. A grunt. Then footsteps. Kira scrambled back as the door flew open. Jay stormed inside, knuckles bloody, face a mask of fury. What did he mean? Kira demanded. What did he mean like you got Minji killed? Jay didn't answer. He paced the length of the room like a caged animal, shoulders rigid. Jay, talk to me. You need to leave. The words hit her like a physical blow. What? You need to leave.
Now.
I'll arrange protection, a new identity if necessary, but you can't stay here.
Why?
Because your friend said. Because he's right. Jay roared, spinning to face her. Everyone I care about dies, Kira. My father. My mother. My sister. And if you stay, you'll be next. Is that what you want? Tears blurred Kira's vision. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. I learned that when I was 8 years old. His voice cracked. I can't. I won't watch you die because of me. So, you're just going to push me away? After everything? Yes. You're a coward, Kira spat, anger overtaking hurt. You talk about being strong, about surviving, but you're too scared to even try. You'd rather be alone than risk being happy. I'm keeping you alive. No. She stepped closer, voice shaking. You're keeping yourself safe. Because it's easier to be empty than to risk feeling something real. Jay's face contorted with pain. Get out. Fine. Kira grabbed her purse. Do-Hyun must have retrieved it, and headed for the door. But before she left, she turned back. You know what the saddest part is? She said softly. I actually believed you were different. I believed you could let someone in. But you're just like everyone else who's ever hurt me. Too broken to try. She didn't wait for a response. She walked out, heart shattering with every step. Behind her, she heard something crash. Glass, maybe. Or a life breaking apart. She didn't look back. Jay stood in the wreckage of his living room, surrounded by shattered glass and broken promises. He'd done the right thing. He'd protected her. So, why did it feel like he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life? It had been 5 days since Kira left, and Jay was unraveling. He threw himself into work, dealt with Sang-woo personally, eliminated the threat, restored order. But none of it mattered. Every quiet moment was filled with her voice, her laugh, the way she'd looked at him like he was worth saving. Do-Hyun had apologized. Jay had forgiven him. But the words still echoed. You're compromised.
He was. Completely.
Utterly. And he didn't want to fix it. On the 6th day, Jay found himself standing outside the hotel where Kira worked. He'd had her followed. Not to control her, but to make sure she was safe. She was. But she looked hollow. He watched through the glass doors as she checked in a guest, her smile professional but empty. The light that had burned so bright in his penthouse was gone. He'd done that. He'd taken her fire and snuffed it out. Boss. Jay turned to find one of his men approaching. What? There's been a development. Kira's ex, Marcus. He's been making threats. Says she humiliated him. He's drunk, angry, and he knows where she lives. Ice flooded Jay's veins. Is she in danger? Could be. He's unpredictable. Jay didn't hesitate. Get the car. Kira sat in her tiny apartment, staring at the wall. She'd cried for 3 days straight. Then the tears had dried up, leaving only numbness behind. She'd been so stupid, falling for a man she barely knew, believing that one kiss could mean something real. She'd let herself hope again, and hope had betrayed her, just like it always did. A knock at the door startled her. Kira, open up. We need to talk. Her blood ran cold. She'd been avoiding him, ignoring his calls and messages. She thought he'd give up eventually. Go away, Marcus. I just want to talk. Please. Something in his voice made her hesitate. He sounded off.
Slurred.
You're drunk, she called through the door. Come back tomorrow.
No.
We're talking now. The door handle rattled. Kira's heart leapt into her throat. She grabbed her phone, fingers shaking thinking to the police or Jay. But before she could decide, the door burst open. Marcus stood in the doorway, eyes wild, face flushed with alcohol and rage. You made me look like a fool, he snarled. Kira backed away, pulse thundering. Marcus, you need to leave. Kissing some random guy right in front of me. Who do you think you are? Someone who deserves better than you. Kira shot back, fear giving way to anger. Now get out. Marcus lunged. Kira screamed. And then Jay showed up. What happens next? Do you think Jay will save her from a drunk Marcus? Part 2 is coming, and trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next. But before you go, I need to know, on a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate this story so far? Drop your number in the comments and tell me. And if you're invested in finding out whether these two broken souls find their way back to each other, smash that subscribe button because part 2 drops soon, and it's about to get intense. See you in part 2.